Welcome back to Cardinal Territory. I'm your host, Katie Wu, and happy second half of the season. Now, technically, we have well surpassed the actual halfway mark of the season. The Cardinals have exactly 65 games remaining on the regular season docket starting tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks at Chase Field. I am not in Arizona. I will meet the team in Denver on Monday, but still plenty to discuss here, starting with I'm not trying to be dramatic when I say the next 10 games could dictate the rest of the season. And that sounds kind of silly, right? Like it's a 162 game season. How can 1/16 of it matter this much? Well, it does. Here's how the card schedule looks heading into this year's deadline, which is scheduled for July 31st, 5 p.m. Central Time. 3 games in Arizona, 3 games in Colorado, no off day, straight to a 4-game set at home versus the Padres, and then 3 games against the Miami Marlins. They have an off day scheduled for the 31st in San Diego, so at least there will be no game on deadline day. That is always like stupid stressful. But it's no secret that the Cardinals' second half sprint starts right now. President of Baseball Operations John Mozeliak has said this throughout the season and most recently reiterated this in the first week of July. He is prepared to go to the week before the trade deadline, if not the final 72 hours before the trade deadline, before making a decision if the Cardinals should buy or sell. And guess what? He's not alone. Multiple teams, including the Diamondbacks, find themselves in the same position as the Cardinals. We call them bubble teams here in the industry because they are right on the bubble between buying and selling. And we're going to have to check in on these teams, just going off the top of my head. The Rangers, the Royals, the Guardians, the Twins, the Cardinals, just to see, because how they play over the next week or so, again, will influence their plans. So what the Cardinals are deciding right now, which is that they will not sell and they want to compete in the second half, that could be entirely different come 7 days from now if this upcoming road trip does not go well. Same for the Diamondbacks, who have a lot of pieces. You're thinking about Suarez, you're thinking about Zach Gallen, and then the whole AL Central outside of the Tigers and the White Sox, those 3 teams, the Royals, the Twins, and the Guardians, are kind of all bubbled together. See, that's why we call them bubble teams. So we don't know a lot about the market. We do know it's starting to heat up. The Royals traded for Adam Frazier over the All-Star break, and I saw John Heyman of the New York Post reporting that Spencer Turnbull is on his way to the Chicago Cubs. So the market is starting to heat up, but we likely won't have a full idea of what that market looks like in total until maybe a couple days before the deadline, and then things will get very, very weird. So that's fun if you're a fan, not so fun if you're a reporter. But hey, that's what we signed up to do. My prediction for this Cardinals team, I don't know if you're going to really love this news, but I can see them doing exactly what they did in 2024, buying and selling at the same time. We know that they have intents of moving Eric Fetty. I don't see them doing anything major here. 1, because that's not normally what they do. And 2, it would really surprise me if the Cardinals make a major shakeup with their roster, knowing that a new front office is coming in November. Again, that could change, but right now I think it's business as usual for John Mozeliak and the Cardinals. We'll see, though. I'm sure that this will be an entirely different situation over the next week or so. We'll get into all of the things to kick off the second half. First, though, here we go. First, though, we need to tell you about a giveaway we're doing here at Foul Territory. We have a great giveaway going on right now in our chat, BCC group chat. Think you know ball? Prove it in our trivia game for a shot at winning an authentic MLB jersey of your choice worth up to $400. Here's how to enter. 1, sign up at foulterritory.chat. 2, play trivia, crush it, and you might win. We're picking one winner from the top 10 scorers at random. Deadline is July 20th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Again, that's at chat BCC. Check it out. All right, some transactional news. Jordan Walker is up. Thomas Saggese is down. The Cardinals optioned Saggese on Thursday back to Memphis, and they will officially recall Jordan Walker, activate him off the injured list ahead of Friday's game. So MLB players have 20 days on a rehab assignment before the team must decide whether to add them back to the active roster or option them. Jordan Walker was approaching that 20-day mark at some point during the series. To be honest, it might even have been today. So the Cardinals needed to make a decision on him. Thomas Saggese, I know you guys love him, and I think he has a lot of raw tools. Just didn't seem to be particularly ready for this stint. Let's look at his stat line. It was not great. 1 second. He was hitting below 200 and just kind of felt overmatched at the plate. Official stat line, 133, 152, 156 over 14 games. That will not do it. So I'm sure we'll see Saggese again at some point, but still some things to work on in Memphis. And the same can be said for Jordan Walker. Let's talk a little bit about Walker, who, as you all know, I was very high on at the beginning of the season. And I'm not suggesting that I'm not anymore, but I think we can all say that first half of the season was a disappointment. Multiple stints on the injured list limited Walker to just 55 games. We'll go to Baseball Reference and read his stat line. He took 176 at-bats. He hit 210, an on-base percentage of 267, a slugging percentage of 295 for an OPS of 562, homer just 3 times. That's not going to cut it. And I think both the Cardinals and Jordan Walker would say that they're disappointed about how that first half went because Walker was identified as top priority number 1 to get right for this season. This was a huge year for him as the Cardinals try to decide what his future in St. Louis looks like. They were hoping for a lot better production than this. We'll see how manager Oli Marmol dictates playing time going forward. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Oh my gosh. From the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals transactions for July 18th. Jordan Walker activated from the 10-day injured list, infielder Thomas Adjacey option to Memphis. So that move is official. Wow. Talk about timing. I'm on it. Let's think about how Oli Marmol will dictate playing time with Jordan Walker, specifically with Lars Nootbaar also landing on the injured list. For those of you who missed it, he was placed on the 10-day IL. Nootbaar was with, I don't even know how to say it, the same rib issue that had plagued him for multiple weeks in July. So he's going to hit the 10-day IL. He's going to miss at least 2 weeks, most likely. We'll see how the All-Star break and just an overall break from baseball help Nootbaar. What we do know is that this will open the door for consistent playing time to continue for Alec Burleson, who has earned it. He has been one of the Cardinals' most productive hitters. So he'll most likely get time in the corner outfield, most likely right field in Nootbaar's absence. What this means for Jordan Walker? Well, I asked Oli Marmol that. Up at The Athletic, we have second half storylines to watch starting with the trade deadline. We have that for almost every team. So regardless of who you're looking for, whether it's the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Reds, etc., we have that for you. In this story, however, right before the All-Star break, I did ask Oli Marmol how he would manage playing time in the second half, and if the team continues to contend, if that would impact who he plays or not. And I know many of you don't particularly love listening to the manager at times, but I will say he has gotten very good at saying things and meaning something between the lines. So I'll read this quote and then I'll explain it to you. Oli Marmol said, "In my opinion, we've given opportunity to everybody at this point, so we'll mix and match and continue to play guys that are deserving." Then he would later in that same question go on to say, "We've given ourselves a shot while developing. I'll continue to find ways, and I think we've threaded that as much as we can. I don't think we'll veer from it, but I'll lean heavier as we get further into the second half on playing guys that are deserving. It's not just runway for the sake of runway." So in my mind, guys that are deserving of playing time based on performance, Alec Burleson, Ivan Herrera, hands down. And the Cardinals already stated that Herrera will be their starting DH going forward for the rest of the season. They're going to limit his time behind the plate in efforts to preserve his lower body health. He's already had 2 lower leg injuries this year. And in case we didn't notice, over the 3.5 weeks he was on the injured list this last time, the offense really takes a hit without Ivan Herrera. So what this means for Herrera's catching future, that's a decision for the offseason. But right now going forward, you can expect to pencil in Herrera as the everyday DH. And Burleson, again, like we just talked about, while unfortunate for Nootbaar, does make a lot of sense for him to just take over the corner outfield spot because you can't really take his bat out of the lineup either. Now, if you're looking at guys that have really performed over the last month or so, my eyes are on Nolan Gorman. Looking at his stats, let me find those for you. He played since June 1st. He's played in 34 games, hit .245, which is okay, but I think totally fine for a power hitter. Here are the numbers I like. A .500 slugging percentage and 8 home runs. Again, that's since June 1st. Does he pack value as a left-handed bat off the bench? Yes. Are the Cardinals right in not wanting to limit his role to that? Also, yes. Nolan Gorman, while there is a little bit of some, I don't know, whatever the opposite of flexibility is defensively, he's an average second baseman. He's probably a better third baseman, but that's going to be taken by Nolan Arenado. It makes him hard to play every day, especially with Herrera taking over as the everyday DH. But the Cardinals are right to try to continue to find playing time for Gorman because he is, and he's always been, one of those hitters where the more you play him, the better he is. And when you have that left-handed thump that Gorman has been able to show consistently, you play that. So those are the 3 names that I think have really warranted playing time here outside of the regular starters in Arenado, Contreras, Donovan, and Wynn. You know the drill with those 4 players. We'll see what this means for Jordan Walker. He's going to have some chances to play, but it would not surprise me if Walker is relegated to a bench role or only starting versus lefties. That is my inclination of what will happen as we kick off the second half, but we will wait and see. Again, I'm not in Arizona, but we'll be following along from home or from my parents' house, as you all can tell. So again, when we're thinking about the Cardinals and the next 10 games, it would not surprise me if Oli Marmol plays his best 9 because they are trying to sneak into the playoffs and try to play competitive baseball. And we can have a separate conversation if that's the right thing to do or not, or if they should remain focused on the future. In case you missed it, I don't know why this pencil is in my hand, whatever. In case you missed it, Joe Buck did a really strong interview with the morning show on 101, ESPN, Tim McKernan, and all those guys. And he, I thought, shared some really strong insight that many of you fans share as well, where this 2025 Cardinals team has exceeded expectations. And a ton of credit goes to the players. And I know not a lot of you want to hear it. A ton of credit goes to the coaching staff as well for getting the most out of their players and really taking this development year by storm. That doesn't mean they're a World Series team. As currently constructed, the St. Louis Cardinals are not a World Series team. You can make the argument that as currently constructed, they're not even a playoff team. Can they fight and scrap to get into the wild card? Sure. Should they do that at the expense of blowing up their future plans? I am under the belief that they should not. And I think many of you share that same sentiment. I'm never going to knock a team for trying to get in it. I think there are so many teams like the Rockies, the A's, the Marlins that are just embarrassing for the sport, right? And the Cardinals have been embarrassed in their own right because they have such high standards and have fallen well short of them over the last 3 seasons. But again, I believe a team should go for it if they have the potential to. I just don't see the Cardinals going for it at this deadline in a way that actually makes them true postseason contenders. I see them doing exactly what they did in 24 and trying to improve on the margins, hope to get lucky and sneak in. And that's where I think fans are frustrated because it's the same MO every single time. And this is not a team that should be settling for wild card appearances. They're not even winning the wild card games. In 5 years covering the St. Louis Cardinals, I've covered 3 postseason games and I have covered 0 wins. So that kind of goes to show where the Cardinals' postseason philosophy is right now. Lots to think about when we look at John Mozeliak in the next 10 days and how Oli Marmol plays his hands with his players. You hope to take advantage of the Diamondbacks because the Cardinals can more or less decide the Diamondback season this series. You hope to take advantage against the Rockies, but the way the pitching staff has looked in July, Coors Field is not really where you want to be. For a lot of these pitch to contact guys, the Cardinals have not set their rotation outside of Arizona. They'll go Palante today, Sonny Gray Saturday, Miles Michaelis Sunday. All signs point to Eric Fetty taking a start against the Rockies, though. So we'll see how that goes. And then 4 games against the Padres, and they're a threat, as we know. Former Cardinals manager Mike Shildt will be back in St. Louis, and this is a Padres team that expects to be all in it. Their president of baseball operations, AJ Preller, is one of the more unhinged executives when it comes to the trade deadline. So 3 tough draws. And then could the Cardinals go into the Miami series undecided of their plans? They could, but that's cutting it real close to the deadline. I will say, though, in the years that I've covered the Cardinals, there has been no better deadline dealer than John Mozeliak. I mean, talk about a buzzer beater. He's had one of those for 5 years. So I'm prepared for this to go down to the wire. Cardinals fans, you should as well. All right, let's hear from our partners at DraftKings real quickly. Our player spotlight powered by DraftKings is indeed Jordan Walker. So we went over his stats in the first half. We talked about this a little bit on the show. The Cardinals kept Jordan Walker in AA because they wanted to work on his approach during his rehab assignment. It's the same things that they've been dealing with for the last couple of years. Jordan Walker is still struggling to lay off the slider low and away and have just better pitch selection. Still hasn't done a very nice job of getting the ball in the air. The same things that this organization has been working with him for years. And the thought was down in Springfield with lesser competition, but better technology and better resources than Memphis, if you will, he would have a better chance at making those changes. Again, we don't know where he's going to play. My opinion is that he will have his playing time somewhat regulated. Maybe that changes in the second half, depending on what the Cardinals do at the trade deadline. But it is a make it or break it season from Jordan Walker. And I've seen some trade speculation involved with Walker. And I would like to caution you all. Here's my reporter soapbox urge. If you're not seeing news or rumors from the established National League reporters or your local beat, really try to temper your expectations. This year specifically, because there are very limited stars available on the market, and because the market is still relatively undefined, you're seeing a lot of rumors flying everywhere just for the sake of starting a conversation. Just because you see a rumor floated on Twitter, it does not mean that it is an actual legit circumstance. And look, guys, sometimes us reporters will get rumors and they'll end up being exactly that, but it's our job to decide what is true and what is not and to figure that out before we report it. So I know, just speaking for the Cardinals beat, speaking for the writers of The Athletic, basically any beat writer that you know, we take real strong pride in making sure what we get out there is accurate. This year in particular, you will see a lot of rumors. It doesn't mean that they're true, which brings me to my point about Jordan Walker. You will hear his name being floated around in possible trade propositions. Well, I don't think that's out of the question come the offseason. I would be very surprised if a trade of Jordan Walker happens this July, mainly because of what we already talked about. Unless John Mozeliak and Chaim Bloom work together on this trade, it doesn't make a lot of sense for an outgoing president of baseball operations to trade a player with ample years of control, a former first-round pick, ahead of a new front office taking over. You never know what Chaim Bloom and his front office, which we don't even know what that looks like yet, might think of Jordan Walker. So is it tantalizing to think that moving Jordan Walker could net you a big player? Yes, because I think that it could. Is that where the Cardinals are right now in their restructure? Probably not. When we talked to John Mozeliak at Wrigley Field over 4th of July weekend, he did say the players that we would be looking to trade if we did end up selling are those on expiring contracts. So that would be guys like Eric Fetty, who we know that they're trying to trade regardless, Steven Matz, Phil Maton, Ryan Helsley, and then Miles Michaelis maybe, but he has a full no trade clause, so I highly doubt that. So that's your player spotlight, again, presented by DraftKings. Let's talk about pick 6. So Bernie obviously is not on the show, but I'm going to read his picks for you. He has 2. Pittsburgh's O'Neal Cruz. He's taking the higher than 1.5 combined hits, runs, and RBIs against the visiting White Sox. Chicago starting pitcher Jonathan Cannon has a 4.97 road ERA this season. Second pick, Washington's James Woods, fresh off the home run derby. He's taking the higher than 0.5 home runs against the visiting San Diego Padres. Dylan Cease, the opposing starter, has a 6.27 road ERA this year. And if you're looking for a local pick for tonight's game against the Diamondbacks, why not go with Nolan Gorman? Picking the higher than 0.5 homers tonight. Brandon Pfaadt has allowed 17 homers this season. Gorman, an Arizona native, he's back home, probably fired up. So those are Bernie's picks for DraftKings pick 6. You can download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FAL. That's code FAL for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, like we talked about, trade deadline watch is officially on. A couple of moves taking place over the All-Star break. We will see more teams in the mix, again, as we wait for this market to kind of define itself. Teams I expect to be in: the Chicago Cubs, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Philadelphia Phillies want bullpen help. New York Yankees general manager Brian Cashman has pledged an all-in approach. They really need a third baseman. The odds of that third baseman being Nolan Arenado, very slim. Let me just throw that out there. Big game changers for teams looking to buy. Could be, again, the Diamondbacks. Could be the Cardinals. It seems like the Royals are kind of in on a gentle buy with their trade for Adam Frazier. The Guardians have Emmanuel Clase, so probably one of the more coveted relievers. Ryan Helsley, obviously not as dominant as last year. I still don't believe the Cardinals are inclined to move him. In fact, that was my bold prediction for The Athletic, which a lot of you, The Athletic just did 30 bold predictions for 30 teams at the trade deadline. And many of you rightfully commented that it's not really bold to predict the Cardinals not doing anything like holding on to a player. I agree. But from an industry standpoint, I think most executives are still amazed the Cardinals held on to Ryan Helsley over the offseason in the first place. Again, if this team flames out coming out of the deadline, this all changes. All of a sudden, you're listening on offers for Helsley, for Maton, for Matz, and you focus on your rebuild. Excuse me. Okay, just kidding. I thought it was another roster move for the Cardinals. It was not. It was just clubhouse times. When you're looking at what the Cardinals could specifically do, you'll hear this a lot. you will hear teams are interested in X player. Those players are going to be Brendan Donovan, Ivan Herrera, Lars Nootbaar. Those players are not going to be traded by the Cardinals this year. Teams can have plenty of interest. Spoiler alert, teams have had interest in Brendan Donovan since his rookie year. Teams have had interest in Lars Nootbaar since 2022. Ivan Herrera was the most coveted player outside of Tommy Edman at last year's trade deadline. Teams can have interest all they want. Doesn't matter because the Cardinals are not inclined to trade them. Again, in 10 days, this could all change. Stick back with us. We'll have plenty of episodes on Cardinal Territory to break it all down for you. Bernie is back with us Sunday for a Cardinals Diamondbacks recap. Hopefully we're talking about good things rather than bad things, but that remains to be seen. Hey, happy second half, everybody. Time flies when you're having fun, and I appreciate you sharing this journey with me. All right, I'm Katie Wu. This is Cardinal Territory. We are back with you Sunday. Have a great weekend.